All right, everyone, day like 10 or something of the Ukraine issue, the so-called scandal engulfing the Trump administration, leading him to the brink of impeachment. It's funny to see everyone's hyperbolic bullshit that they're spewing on Twitter under all the hashtags that are being semi-astroturfed up on there, complaining about Trump and how he must be removed from office. You have to be unpatriotic not to remove him by force at this time. We don't have any proof of any wrongdoing, though. What do you think a whistleblower complaint boils down to? Only if you artificially apply the moniker whistleblower does it give it even a positive spin. This is an allegation against Trump and other admin officials. We don't know if it's true or not. If you look through it, a cursory glance at it is extremely hyperbolic. It's basically out there in black and white. Trump did this, and this. He's basically a screwball. Barr is covering his ass. Pence is doing this and that. And then here's these other officials, and they're all doing terrible, crazy shit. So, in other words, it's the most scandal-pockmarked White House in history. It's worse than Richard Nixon. It's worse than anything before. But that's just the allegation. Where's the evidence? What I think is this. I give even odds that this is 4D chess, that Trump is actually the whistleblower that released the complaint in the first place, or had it engineered, specifically to force Pelosi's hand, to force her down the road of impeachment inquiry, so that she'll turn up nothing and it'll drag on and keep the Democrats from properly fending him off. Distract him during the election process. Make sure that the candidates feel pressured by their constituents to come out in favor of impeachment early and often. Elizabeth Warren, by the way, already tacking backwards and waffling around on this. And she was asked, well, because of course Biden's son, while Biden is in office, is serving on some sort of, I think, military committee or something pertinent to the Ukraine stuff that's going on, and she was asked if that would be acceptable, essentially. She said, well, I'm not sure. Well, maybe, no, I guess not, but I'd have to go and take a look at it. Oh, man, are you entrapped? And as for Biden's response, he's already totally flubbed it. He totally flubbed it. When asked about Hunter Biden, he pretended that he didn't know anything about it, but he did. We've got proof that he did. Openly proclaiming, I think a year or two before, that he was involved with the initial decision to can this prosecutor in the first place. Now, they're saying, well, there was never any investigation directly into Biden's son. Okay, fucking who cares, though? Then how is it a problem then when Trump brings up this issue? By the way, I do not care if Donald Trump, let's say the whistleblower complaint's absolutely true, the transcript can be believed. Donald Trump explicitly mentions Biden and Biden's son in some context. Now, part of this is wrong. CNN and other groups are currently selectively editing the release here a little bit when they're talking about it and making it sound like Trump was attempting to establish a quid pro quo with Ukraine on the Bidens. That is not, in fact, the case. They're taking it out of context. The real context is he's asking for their help on election interference. The Biden thing is separate from that. So there's a little bit of selective editing going on that's been put out there. It's slimy. It is a lie because you're switching things around and creating a totally different reality from what's there. It's like a chimera. It's no longer real. But that's a minor issue. The legacy media does it all the time. Look, at this point, if you're a fan of Trump and you're pissed off because the legacy media is lying about Trump, fucking do something about it then. Fucking make a video about the fact that they can't be trusted. Point out reasons why and convince others. Simply complaining about it at this point doesn't do any fucking goddamn jack shit of good. It doesn't even matter. Legacy media does this constantly. The ADL comes out today. Well, the OK symbol is officially now part of our hate database. Well, again, who fucking cares? Yeah, you lie all the time. CNN, by the way, gleefully covering that front page. Wonder why? I love it. Oh, the political I don't even care if it's unjust and totally dubious, slimy, and wrong. At the very least, it's not boring. That's the Trump presidency in a nutshell. He's beating the Democrats badly on this issue. What has happened is that Pelosi has been forced now to say, yes, we're going to have an official impeachment inquiry. It's not an inquiry into whether to have an inquiry. It's not an inquiry into whether to inquire into inquiries like it initially was, and that was front page news, as I pointed out at the time like a month ago. This is an actual inquiry to find out if there's something impeachable there. But they keep moving the goalposts. Pelosi, before the transcript was even released, because Trump was so gleeful, backtracked almost immediately and said, well, there doesn't need to be quid pro quo here. No, we just have to feel that the president did something wrong, and now they have the votes to proceed with potentially impeachment. By the way, they have the votes to impeach right now. There are some Republicans that are fundamentally on board. I believe Justin Amash, who of course left the Republican Party in a huff for, dumb reasons, he's on board with impeaching. Why? Because there's an allegation against him. Well, before you impeach, you might want to explore what the veracity of the allegation is. If the veracity is an anonymous individual within the White House, you don't even know who it is, alleges that Trump did slimy shit, that's not going to fly with the American public. You want to drive Trump supporter turnout through the roof and depress Dem support completely when probably the person that ends up in there has already fired off on this issue before they even had the full details? Oh, good way to do it. Hold an impeachment vote tomorrow. I hope you do impeach him. I hope the U.S. House impeaches Donald Trump, and I'll tell you why. Because the Senate will vote to acquit. He won't get removed from office. That's number one. He will turn around and laugh. He'll pull a Bill Clinton, and he'll say, you're wasting your time. Why don't we actually attempt to improve people's lives? Let's focus on fiscal policy. Let's stop constraining me. Let me conduct diplomacy and do the things that I need to do. He can turn around, and I know he's not good enough. Unfortunately, Trump is not a wordsmith enough to get this across in the kind of flowery language that would really drive it home. But essentially point out to people, I have been obstructed by the Democrats now for several years. I've tried to secure the border, to deliver tax relief, to conduct diplomacy that could save millions of lives and potentially stave off nuclear Armageddon. I have been hamstrung the entire time by investigation after investigation, each one of which has exonerated me. That's what he needs to point out to the American people. And it's true! It's the fucking God's honest truth. Mueller probe. There was no Russian collusion of any kind, indirect or direct. There was no attempt to obstruct justice, none that they could prove. Of course, that's the same thing as saying it didn't happen for legal purposes. There was no tax shenanigans. They've had access to everything they could possibly garner tax-related related to Trump for several years now. They found nothing. Not from New York State, not at the federal level. Nobody has found jack shit. The Trump Tower meeting that everyone was so concerned about, that was the big kahuna. That was why Trump would be out of office. I've been told like 3 times already by Democrats, well, you stupid MAGA hat wearing, Fox News junkie, by Drumpfler, you're going to be gone within a month. You will be impeached and removed. We're going to drag you out of office screaming by your hair, because they're into like sadistic, torture role play or something. They have weird fantasies sometimes. I think they piss themselves sexually. I think they're into sniffing their own farts too. I keep hearing this. Supposedly he colluded with a foreign state. He's basically an espionage agent sitting in the White House after a rigged election. Didn't happen. Well, he didn't get removed from office. In fact, the Democrats shut up real quick about it when Mueller released his initial report. Trump Tower meeting. Supposedly he's meeting with Russian officials, and he's got fucking Roger Stone and Kushner, I think it was, or his son Don Jr., meeting with Russians, and basically Boris and Natalia are there giving them marching orders. That never happened. Steele dossier, the whole basis of all this bullshit. Supposedly that was going to crack the ship of state apart and send Trump plummeting down into the depths. Didn't happen. His taxes, supposedly he's a big tax cheat, a lying, fraudulent man who managed his businesses improperly, discriminates, he's a horrible sexist, rapes teenagers and stuff. Never happened. There's no evidence for any of the claims against him. The biggest thing that we have still, to this day, is the Billy Bush tape, where he says locker room shit. Which, it can be in poor humor, but it's not exactly evidence of a major federal crime. Oh my God. Trump broke the law. Evil Trump did something wrong and impeachable. I've heard that so many times at this point, so have the public, that we've sort of tuned it out. It's telling me, well, he contacted the head of a foreign state, and he asked specifically for a favor about getting the Bidens investigated. I wouldn't even care if that were true, but I've got no proof of that. The call transcript doesn't suggest that that was actually the gist of the call. Ukraine's people come out supposedly and say something to the effect of, well, we understood that there was a quid pro quo. Again, that's your understanding. I don't fucking care. As far as the whistleblower complaint goes, I could write something like this. I could write up 5 or 6 pages. Well, I saw Trump fondling people that weren't his wife. Attorney General Barr was there too. He was guzzling whiskey. He got really drunk. He started saying the N-word. Mike Pence, evil man. I saw him. He's got a rape dungeon underneath the White House. He goes down into the White House tunnel system and he kills small children and puppies and rolls around in their blood. I can write something like this that would be about as hyperbolic as this particular release. Package it up, go to DC, put it in a goddamn mail slot at one of these places, and be a whistleblower. That doesn't mean that what I'm saying is true. It doesn't mean you know who I am, and it doesn't mean you can impeach the President of the United States. The threshold for getting rid of the President is a little bit higher than saying, well, we want to impeach this local mayor. We caught him dipping into the funds or something. Okay, well, that doesn't change the world. That's your local Cheyenne's mayor or something like that. Okay, it might be locally important. It's very nice. He wears his cowboy boots to work and stuff, and he looks like a Midwestern sheriff. Okay, wonderful. That's not the same as the President of the United States. No offense to the people of Cheyenne over in Wyoming. No offense, but it's not the presidency. No, I mean the governor of Vermont. Okay, the governor of Vermont's getting impeached because he blew his nose the wrong way. Okay, nobody cares. Nobody outside of Vermont fucking gives a shit. Nobody will even know. It doesn't matter. Oh my God, the president of some tiny, minuscule microstate somewhere in the world got canned. Who cares? The president of the United States is in command of the most formidable military on the face of the earth, leading the greatest economy that mankind has ever known. It's kind of significant. If you really, Tulsi Gabbard comes out and says she doesn't, at this particular juncture, support impeachment because it's divisive. Oh my God, another Russian agent. She's running interference for Putin and Trump. Again, where's this Russia bullshit coming from? Mueller already exonerated him months ago. What are you fucking smoking? What the fuck is your problem? If you're going to adopt lies, at least when they're completely discredited to the point where even those that were lying to you shake their heads and mumble something about apologies, maybe you can get it back out of your head. Maybe it just sticks like a fucking parasite. That's about all. Peace out.